Good evening and welcome to Solution Ghana, where we track the evidence of what is being done as far as Ghana's many problematic issues are concerned. And on today's show, we actually assessing Ghana's presence in the international community space in the face of GhanaSat-1, which was launched just about a year ago. And this satellite is supposed to be used to monitor Ghana's coastline for mapping purposes and to build capacity in space science and technology. What has been the achievements so far? What has been the benefits? What have been the challenges? We're going to look at all that and what is the way forward. And here with me to discuss all these is one of the trio, Mr. Ernest Tei Mate, who happens to be a former student of All Nations University, though he's still there doing a lot for the country as far as satellites are concerned. He is a satellite engineer, definitely. And we have with him Miss Joanne Amos, who is a satellite education programs organizer. So it's going to be a very exciting program and interviews. Stay glued to your set. It's GTV Gavin, and I am Enoch Brown. Okay, so welcome from the break. Let's quickly delve into the issues. Mr. Ernest, congratulations for the successful launch of GhanaSat-1.
Thank you very much.
Of course, you also deserve all the congrats. What has been the source of your inspiration, especially in local environments where there are very few examples to look at as far as satellite launching is concerned? What has been your inspiration so far?
All right, thank you very much. So from the start of the program, that was from 2013. What the president of our university actually envisioned was that Ghana, after 60 years, what do we have to show to the world in terms of technology? So there are other technological projects that have been going on, but from what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said, that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. So satellite is something that the white man has hidden from us, making us to think that they will do it for us, and then they have been doing it for us. But then to break that back, the president of All Nations University envisioned that at Ghana at 60, Ghana should at least have a satellite. So that was what drove the whole program. And then GhanaSat-1 was achieved in the year that Ghana was 60.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was the inspiration.
Wow, wow, that's great. But then definitely with the launch of the satellite, why would you choose satellite among all the other technologies? Why satellite?
Globally, satellite technology is called the mother of all technology. So then that if somebody
Not
does...
even computer?
So that if somebody does a satellite, the person is seen as a higher engineer because, let's look at automobiles, like a car. If you make a car and then it gets faulty, you can maintain it, you can repair it.
Okay.
But then before a satellite will be accepted to be launched, it has to be 100% efficient. And that's what the white man is looking at. So for a black man to be able to develop something that was considered 100% in engineering to be launched to space, because when you launch a satellite to space, you cannot access it, you cannot maintain it, 100% efficiency. So then for a black man to be able to develop something like that, it is worth celebrating. So that's what happened.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, so I understand there are types of satellites, actually. So this particular one that was launched, GhanaSat-1, can you just describe, to us briefly?
All right. So we have communication satellites. Like we make calls abroad. Sometimes it's routed through a satellite. We have Earth observation satellites. We have navigation satellites like your GPS. We have satellites for military purposes. And then GhanaSat-1 was an Earth observation satellite, which means that it is having cameras pointed towards the Earth, specifically Ghana, to look at something. Okay. So GhanaSat-1 was an Earth observation satellite. Okay.
What went into its assembling, actually? What went into its assembling?
Yes.
Did you get the materials abroad? Did you get it locally?
It was the first time in Ghana. And then, of course, you need mentors because we don't have the facilities in Ghana to develop a satellite. We had the expertise because right from 2013, when the All Nations University Space System Technology Laboratory was founded, we began some satellite projects. Like in 2013, we developed the first educational satellite. 2014, we developed a ground station that can communicate with satellites in space. So we had the expertise, but not the facilities. So that led us to go to Japan to have access to facilities and materials that can allow us to build a satellite that is going to space. Okay. So it was developed in collaboration with the university in Japan by accessing their facilities to develop it.
Wow, that's interesting. I'm sure we have videos for viewers to view how it was all assembled. And so on your screens, you can watch what's happening, and then we see how it goes from here. So how capitally extensive, has it been? I mean, financially, did you have to pay for something from your pockets, or it was a university? I mean, I need to know all that. We need to know all that.
Well, the All Nations University, as much as it set this as its goal to achieve it for the country, was inspired to do it even without support. So our satellite project right from 2013 is internally funded. Even the GhanaSat-1. Now, we noticed that maybe going through a process to secure funds for the GhanaSat-1 could have prolonged the project. And then by that...
Especially if they don't know if it's going to be successful or not.
Could have prolonged the project, and then we might have not met the Ghana Assist agenda. So what the university did was that it took upon itself to fund the project. So actually, the cost for the whole project was about $500,000 US. And then it was all from $500,000 US.
$500,000
US dollars. Wow. The product, the satellite product itself, is about $100,000 US. But then around it were a lot of traveling, a lot of testings, and a lot of conferences and that. So that's how much the university had to spend to put Ghana.
No, seriously, you mean $500,000?
$500,000 US.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. So you were able to come up with all this amount?
As a private university.
As a private university.
Channeled all its resources to put Ghana in space.
Wow, that's commendable, I believe. Yeah. That's commendable. Well, so let's talk about orbits a bit. Let's talk science a bit. What is the orbit level or dimension? Are there dimensions? Because I know that orbits, they're in levels and all that. So this particular GhanaSat-1 satellite, which orbit is it revolving? Is it a low level in terms? I don't know if you grade in terms of kilometers and all that, but you can just give us a little.
Well, orbit dimension, orbit dynamics is a whole book on its own. It's a whole book on its own.
Okay.
But then the least that a layman should know is the altitude of the satellite. And GhanaSat-1 was launched into an altitude of about 400 kilometers, which is graded as a low Earth orbit. And because it was deployed from the International Space Station, the International Space Station is in a low Earth orbit. So GhanaSat-1 is also in the low Earth orbit, taking some images.
Okay, so let's talk about the heat and then the thermal conditions. I mean, thus far, what has been happening?
Yes.
Is it safe?
Thermodynamics is also a book on its own.
Uh-oh.
Yes. But then before you launch a satellite, before the rocket company contracts you, they give you a profile to meet up with.
Okay.
So then your satellites have to meet a specific thermal analysis. So before we submitted this satellite for launch, we had to do thermal testing for it, which is counted by the materials that you used and stuff. So we did a thermal analysis for it through the cold and the heat. We just simulated it on ground to see if it will survive, and then we met the requirement that the launcher had provided. So
that must be laborious.
Yes. It comes with an intensive lab work because this satellite project or this satellite product, after launch, when it gets 40, that's all. 500,000 USD just gone like that. I remember Japan launched a satellite. It's up to 300 million USD, and then it didn't have about even a week in space. That's what can happen to
and
your
all
satellite.
that money just goes like that.
Yes.
But I'm sure they were supported by the government, right?
Yes.
So then it might not pinch them as much as, you know, all nations university coughing out $500,000 for it to go like that. So would you say there's been any challenge so far in its launching and deployment and then monitoring its movement here and there? Has there been any challenges?
A little, because what actually helped us was that we already had the expertise.
Okay.
There are some countries that when they begin their satellite programs, they try to hire expertise from outside.
Okay.
But then because we had been working on satellites since 2013, the team had the expertise. So even for the ground station to communicate with the satellite, we already had it. Yes, we already had it. So basically the challenge may be the funding of the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I understand satellites can be hacked.
Yes.
Has always been hacked. Oh, it's safe.
Yes, as much as a call can be hacked.
Okay.
Yeah, satellites can be hacked. The satellite communication is just like a call from a phone to a phone.
Okay.
So I usually, when we go for education programs, I usually tell the kids that the satellite is just a bigger phone you have put very high in space. So as much as a phone call can be hacked, in that same process, a satellite can be hacked. And if your satellite is hacked, that's a lot of legal issues.
Okay. Okay. And you can sue, right?
Yes, you can sue.
Okay. Okay. And you qualify to sue.
Yeah.
All right. Then let's talk about the jamming. I understand there's something like jamming by land-based transmitters and all that. Has there been any issues like
yes, jamming could be intentional, which could be from somebody who wants to hack your process. So then that there's a specific frequency that your satellite communicates on. Okay. So if somebody wants to interrupt your communication, the person can intentionally be transmitting high power on the same frequency. Okay. And that is going to jam your process. Okay. So it's an intentional activity that somebody can carry on just to hijack your activities.
Okay. All right, I'm going to come to you very soon. Yeah. But let's talk about its economic viability or relevance to national development. Because this is how we're going to come to the projects we're doing and all that and how beneficial it's been to the country and all that. So let's talk about it. What do you say about that, its economic viability?
Sometimes it is very challenging to convince the layman that he is a user of satellites. But then looking at it, you watch television.
Especially when you don't see anything, anyway.
Yes. You watch television, you have a multi-TV, you have a DSTV dish pointing to something in the sky. It's pointing to a satellite. You make calls abroad, it's from a satellite. So I usually make this example. The calls that you make abroad is routed through a satellite. And perhaps your carrier company might have contracted a satellite owner. And that is what is making your call expensive. Okay. Because it's a foreign company. Now, what if Ghana has its own communication satellite? Okay. That is less expensive. Okay. You buy less credit. Okay. That is how it's going to affect the economy. Okay. So then, even for meteorological data, we buy the data from abroad because the satellite is owned by another country. When we get our own, it surely will be cost less. Then that is an indirect impact that it has on the economy. Okay. So technology drives the economy. And in Japan, it's so evident that technology is actually driving the economy, and that's what Ghana should strive for. Okay, okay. I think it's getting clearer now. It's coming down to earth for the simple man to understand that he's very much directly influenced by satellites. So I know you've been on some projects, STEMI. Can you just briefly talk to us about that? Let me probably direct this to Miss Amos.
Thank you very much. So STEMI, that's science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation. Okay. And so our outreach programs have been to promote this in as much as we want to engage the high school students, so junior high school and senior high school students, for this to be promoted in their curriculum, and also to educate them also on space science, so that by the time they get to the tertiary level, they actually have deeper insights and it doesn't sound so strange and weird. Okay, so why junior SHS, no tertiary? Why the direction to
SHS and junior high school?
Okay, because we know that as time goes on, they will actually still progress to that level. But there are times when we've had conferences and we invited certain universities to come, tertiary students to come and partake of the knowledge.
And how's it going so far?
Well, it's been great, and so we intend on taking it deeper and higher. And so to every level, there are changes and strategies that would employ to make it better for the country and for everyone.
But I'm interested in the level of cooperation. How has it been so far with the schools organizing competitions and all that, projects to teach students? What has been the cooperation like?
Okay, the cooperation has been okay or normal, but one thing we could actually emphasize on, for example, the schools, by the time we go to them, inviting them, so the headmasters or the headmistress, most of them don't really comply as we would want them to, maybe because they really don't have so much knowledge of it, in as much as when we go there, we give them a portfolio of the whole program, what it's all about, and also of our lab, so that it doesn't sound so strange. But then most times the challenge we face is that we don't really have their cooperation in allowing their students to partake of this knowledge.
But why won't they do that? Well, I know this question might not be for you.
Yes.
I thought it should be an exciting project.
Yes, sure. So that's so would actually, we believe that by the time we do more of this and they begin to see the outcome, they begin to see how many schools are benefiting from this, they begin to see how it's impacting the lives of the students. I'm sure they would want their students to partake, because I believe there are some people that believe seeing is believing, right? So they want to, yes. So
what has been some of the salient projects you've been on right now? Yeah.
Okay, so recently we had a PowerPoint presentation competition for certain schools. Okay, and it was really great. This is the first of its kind in Ghana. Yeah. So we actually gave them topics related, space-related topics ahead of time, and they had to choose based on the one they want. And so they prepared. They had each school had 2 topics to choose from, and they came with their PowerPoint, and it was really an exciting time.
Well, so viewers can be furnished with some of the graphics on your screens to show how the projects have been going on and how exciting it has been. This is where I would like to talk about the competition. I know you organized a competition just recently that has to do with space science technology. Tell me about that.
For now, it's not only the competition that we've had. Since 2013, we've had projects that have imparted more than 3,000 students. This includes competitions, exhibition projects, conferences, workshops for students. So, example, in 2017, we hosted about 500 young girls in our school, teaching them about engineering.
That's after the launch?
Yes, I think just 3 months after the launch. We're trying to use the satellites as a facility to promote education and thereby providing solution in Ghana. So for 2018, as part of the World Space Week celebration, we organized a competition. The inspiration for the competition was to inspire internet research at the high school level. So what we did was that we provided the school students some topics which were not found in their curriculum. So now they have to go to the internet to research. Because for an average Ghanaian student, when you give the person, let's say, internet bundle for 24 hours, it is either YouTube, Facebook. They don't see the internet as a learning tool. So that's what we try to inspire. So we give them topics, research on it. You'll not find it in your physics books. Go to the internet, research, and come and present. So we actually had a number of schools from different districts coming to present their research. And then we had a panel of judges, and then they were graded. So that's what happened on this competition.
So, Ms. John, how challenging has this been? How challenging has it been, this whole project, organizing it, cooperation level and all that?
Thank you very much. Well, we've had several challenges, but not so much. But the only one which would actually see is the cooperation level from the heads of the schools. Yes, because most times when we take our invitation letter requesting their students to be part of the program, most of them are skeptical about it. Most of them don't really want to give their permission.
Did you say skeptical? What are they skeptical about?
Like, they're not really sure of what it is. In as much as when we get there, we give them our portfolio of the laboratory, what it's all about. Just like Mr. Enes said, the programs we've done so far, what they stand to benefit, the knowledge their students will stand to gain and all that. But I just believe that as time goes on, probably when more innovations are made about it, they would want to open up.
Is that first, you have to educate the headmaster first before you have access to educate the students.
Sure.
Okay.
Yes. And then
that's a tall one.
Yes. So, and on the other side, one of the challenges that we faced is sponsorship.
Okay.
For the programs. So now the university is still bent on promoting the education in Ghana. But then, particularly for this project, we try to seek external sponsorship.
Okay.
But then it wasn't that fruitful. So we have to do it ourselves again. And then we are just the purpose is to promote the sustainable development goals, quality education, gender equality, and then technology in Ghana. Okay. So that's what we are doing.
Well, we're going to be talking a lot about sponsorship and help because I think that is a very sensitive project. But then let's still talk about the competitions. I know that we need to get the recently successful competition. That's PRESEC and Methodist Girls Senior Equiapim were the ones who won the show. PRESEC was the first, and then Methodist University Senior High was the runner-up. We're going to have to discuss with them briefly, have a short interview with them, and they're going to be on the show right after the break. So viewers, stay tuned. We're going to have a lot of exciting sessions. We'll be right back. Okay, viewers, welcome back to Solution Ghana. And I have here on the show the runners-up of the space research competition. And I'm going to ask them a few questions. I have in the studio, you're welcome anyway. I have in the studio Vanessa. You're Vanessa.
Yes, please.
And then Ikia Pipim, and then Adum Enchua. So tell me, I'm sure you expected to win.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Even though it was PRESEC?
Unfortunately.
How well prepared were you?
We did a lot of research. We even had to ask some of our students gather information from both the net and the students. For our presentation, we put in a lot of effort, unfortunately.
Wow. So how do you think these modes of competition can help education in Ghana? I mean, generally, how do you think these modes?
Okay, so it can help us because when we have lessons in class, we come back to our centers and research on these topics. And with our research as a team or a club, we go international. So we do research that depends on the world, global issues. So for example, a research like the bed bag issue in secondary schools. With our club, we've been able to bring up a solution to it. And right now, we can proudly say our school is bed bag free.
Wow.
Yes, please.
Wow.
So that's how our research helps us.
That's interesting.
Yes, please.
Well, it's always exciting to see our women rise, our ladies rise. And it's good to see you, I mean, doing well. But tell us about the National Robotics Awards.
Okay, so basically robotics is all about the programming and building of robots to perform specific tasks. And robotics was introduced in Ghana by Dr. Ashite Shebi Oleenu, who was born a Ghanaian engineer and is now working for NASA Propulsions Lab in California, and Dr. Ukweku Irenchi. They founded the Ghana Robotics Academy Foundation. So with our awards, we went on the competition on the 29th, that's the RISE, and we were...
Robotics-inspired science education.
Yes, please. And we were asked to perform an autonomous rescue challenge, and we emerged winners. And so far, over schools like PRESEC, Legon...
I like the fact that you mentioned.
Every Girls, Prempeh
That was like a revenge, right?
Yes, please. Prempeh College, St. Augustine's, and many others. And so far, we are the first girls' school to ever win such a competition in Ghana.
Oh, that's congrats. I mean, well done. And I wish you all the best. God be with you, all right? So viewers, you've heard from the runners-up it's very exciting to always see our ladies doing well in science and technology. All right, so we've heard from the runners-up Methodist Girls Senior High School from Ikwapim, and I have here in the studios the winners themselves, Presec High School, and I'm sure they have a lot to boast about, but let's see about that in the studio. So I have with me Otabil Emmanuel on my right, yes. Right? You're welcome to the studios, and then Faith Cyril. Yeah, you're very welcome. So let's do a brief chat. Tell me about the competition. How well prepared were you before the competition? Did you know you were going to win? You were going to win?
Not really. We weren't actually fully prepared.
Okay. How long did you have to prepare?
Okay, we received the information, I think, on a Thursday, and the following week, Wednesday, was the program. So we had to be quick with our research and our PowerPoint. So, and with that, we made attempts to get a laptop for the PowerPoint presentation because we didn't have one personally.
Okay.
And our first attempt didn't help, so we had to borrow one.
Okay.
Now here lies the case: we had the laptop, and internet access was also a problem.
Seriously?
So we had to find other alternatives.
Okay.
We went to see the ICT department, but it didn't go well.
Okay.
Which means that we weren't able to start working on that particular Friday.
Okay.
Saturday, we were still making efforts.
Okay.
Sunday, we were still making efforts. So we decided that we might not even go for the competition.
Oh,
and
I see.
Sunday, around 4, 5 o'clock, one of our colleagues called his mom and told the mom about it. So the mom quickly got us Surfline.
Okay.
Yes, and brought it that evening. So it was Sunday evening we started our work actually.
Okay, okay. What were your expectations, Faith? Did you know your competitors? Did you know?
We knew our competitors, but you see, as usual, everybody must have good expectations for competition, but our hopes were kind of shaky because we knew the conditions we were in.
Okay.
But then we did it, and God helped us through.
All right, so congratulations. So how much work went into the internet research, actually?
A lot of work. You see, the thing was basically internet research work, yes. So we had to do with preparation of slides for the representation, and research work on the internet. And each school was given 2 topics. So we first had to prepare a presentation on the first topic and another on the second topic.
Okay. So how do you think these modes of competition would help education in Ghana, generally?
Okay, the competition actually was in different folds. It had the aspect for research, then the aspect for working on the PowerPoint, then the aspect where you be on stage to deliver what you have.
Okay.
So taking the research aspect, I think it's going to help students to know how to use the internet better for research works. Then also with the PowerPoint, me personally, I hadn't made any attempt to open a PowerPoint application before. That was my first time.
Okay, but you did well.
That was by God's grace.
That's a learning curve, right? I see. So going forward, I mean, what has been experienced? Are you more interested in satellite issues? Are you more interested in it? How are you going to?
Oh, yes. At first, hardly will I focus on things based on astronomy, but due to the research, I have gained certain interest in astronomy and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So congratulations once again for winning the competition. And I'm sure that next year you're going to prepare more.
We are going to defend it.
I like that. I like that. I love that. Okay, so viewers, it has been Presec who have been the winners for the competition, one of a kind. And I want to believe that they're going to have all the support that they need to keep having this competition going on. All right, so we're going to continue with the interview because I'm so much interested in a few questions I want to ask Mr. Ernest and Ms. Amos. So We're going to have them in the studios. We're going to have a short break, and then we'll be right back. All right, so welcome back from the short break. It's been Solution Ghana, and we're still assessing Ghana's presence in the international space community in the face of GhanaSat-1. So I've been chatting, and we've been having a lot of discourse with Mr. Ernest Tay and then Miss Amos. It's been exciting having you in the studio so far. But then I want to ask a few questions before we wrap up this show. I know the satellites have lifespans. So with GhanaSat-1, what is the lifespan? How much more time do we have?
All right, so the lifespan is dependent on the height to which you launch it and the purpose of it. So GhanaSat-1 was for technology demonstration, for capacity building. So the lifespan is just 2 years. So the vision is that before the 2 years comes to an end, GhanaSat-2 should be on.
Okay.
And one of...
With another $500,000?
Yes. So one of the advantages of GhanaSat-1 is that it is paving way for GhanaSat-2.
Okay.
And as I'm speaking with you, we the engineers, we are working on GhanaSat-2 for a meteorology mission for Ghana.
Seriously?
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So then it means that we have how many more months to go for GhanaSat-1?
We have just about six
Six
months to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And what has been achieved so far? What would you say? What has been achieved so far as far as GhanaSat-1 is concerned?
Yes. Amidst all the achievements, the most important thing is that GhanaSat-1 has paved way for GhanaSat-2.
Okay.
And then that because of the process, we have had the experience, and then we are developing GhanaSat-2 because from the first technology demonstration, we've known that we are able to launch a satellite. We've developed the first one. We've seen how workable it is. And by that, we are building on it for a bigger mission, which
So
is
you have more experience.
which is meteorology for Ghana.
Okay.
So that's what we are doing.
That's awesome. Ministry of Communication should be very much interested in this project, right?
Yes. So the Ministry of Communication, the Honorable Minister, Oslo Husu, seems to have some interest in it. So we have a project, the STEMI 275, where we are promoting practical-oriented education in all the 275 constituencies in Ghana, and the Ministry of Communication is bent to sponsoring it.
Okay.
So that's the project ahead of us.
Well, so with STEMI, what's the way forward? Is it going to be sustained? Is the competition going to be coming on every year? Are we going to have more projects, education?
Sure. As much as it is our vision to promote practical-oriented education in Ghana, we are doing it. Somewhere, our next major project is May.
Okay.
In May, we are going to have junior high school students communicate with astronauts on the International Space Station.
Okay.
And by this, they are going to design their own antennas to be able to send signals to those astronauts.
Something practical.
Yes, something practical. So that's happening in May.
Okay.
And it's because the international body that deals with communicating with astronauts saw what we are doing through a presentation in Austria. Okay. And they were like, hey, guys, you've imparted more than 3,000 students already. Let's do this for you. Okay. So they are paving way for their astronauts to communicate with students in Ghana. First time happening in Ghana here, and that will be May, which the university is still sponsoring.
So would you say it's paying? Is it paying off?
Yes.
Cash kind?
Kind. Kind.
Okay. So, viewers, this is where we come to the end of the show. It's been Solution Ghana, where we track the evidence of what is happening as far as solutions is concerned. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and I pray that it goes on successfully and sustainably. So viewers, this is where we come to the end of the show, but I leave you with one impact capsule. It says the price of success cannot be negotiated because of your situation. Determination and consistency are one of such. It's Enoch Brown. See you next week.